Well, we are here in Budaörs and I'm looking for inspiration. Who do I find? Mr. Második Rákóczi Ferenc. Fejedelem. That means leader. And Második Rákóczi Ferenc, Frankie Rákóczi II, he was the leader of Hungary during their early 18th century independence revolution. You know, in the Honfoglalás, Árpád, he was the fejedelem of Hungary. Hogy vagy?
Thanks, I will.
Oh, nice. Look at this interesting Budaörsi architecture. We got the kicsit greenhouse and the winding fehér lépcső. Hunglish. You know, I'm really trying to pioneer this Hunglish magyar language. So there's a very, even smaller than the Hungarian niche is the pure Hunglish speaking niche. But that is the niche that I can relate most closely with. Ooh, Felicia. Look at this car. Ooh. Felicia. The sun comes out to greet us. We have a little slice of Budaörs history here on Vig utca. We've got Dr. Lunds Ottokár, and he was the Szülőn Mesítő from 1931 to 2010. And a Szülőn Mesítő is like a grape breeder. A grape breeder. I mean, someone who is interested in the breeding of grapes. Because you know, phylloxera, the grape disease that decimated the vine population of all of Europe towards the end of the 19th century and was devastating to the economy of places like this that relied on their ancient vineyards. Well, that spurned on the need for people that could study the science of grapes. Oh, excuse me, Mr. Budaörsi Machka. Where shall you lead us, Mr. Budaörsi Machka? Okay, he disappears. And another reason that that sign was so informative as to the history of Budaörs is because in addition to it being a very vine-friendly area, you can see with these hills all around, it was and still is to this day heavily influenced by the Swabian German population, the Schwabs of Hungary. Here you can see some German and also Hungarian, German, Hungarian, German, Hungarian, German, Hungarian, German and Hungarian. Ich heiße Wilhelm. Ich wohne in Leánfalu mit meiner Frau. 1873. 1873. Szép régi ház. Wow. Nagyon jó. Here we have 1889. Look at this door. Gyönyörű. And here another old house. They do not show off the year. And here we have some sort of road crew working on something. Hey. Hogy vagy? Hogy vagy?
Hát meg vagyunk, dolgozgatunk.
Willimo. Mit ez a dolog itt? Csak ez a munka?
Munka, igen.
Ja.
Persze. Tisztítsuk a várost.
Köszi szépen.
Nincs.
Salgótarján. Oh, jó, Salgótarján. Igazából megyek Salgótarjánba a vasárnap, azt hiszem. Salgóvára, nem? Salgóvára. Nagyon szép napot. És köszönöm szépen, mert csináltok a tisztább utca. Szép munka. Gratulálok. Szia. Szikla Változó and the Felsen Keller. Oh, it looks like it might be closed, but this place looks terrific. Absolutely terrific for a summertime ale after a walk to the top of the Szikla. Here we have the Polgárőrség, which, if I'm not mistaken, they're sort of like a step below the Rendőrség, the police. The Polgárőrség, it's more like security. I don't know exactly what their jurisdiction or legal rights are, but I don't think anybody does. I've always been curious about this. It seems to be an aesthetic that popped up maybe in like the late 1970s. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it just screams late 70s communism to me. Trying to be a little bit funky with it. Disco. We go from Kő Láb to Kő Szikla utca. Kő Szikla, that's like Stone Rock Street. romantic, charming, windy little street. Nagyon cuki Budaörsi kutya. Nagyon cuki Budaörsi kutya. He's ready to sprint off. See you later, alligator. And there we can see it. First sighting of the day. The Cimere of Budaörs. I believe that's the rock we are climbing right now. A symbol of the town. Whew. And there's a legend attached to this cliff, this rock, this alien landscape that I would love to dig a little bit deeper into right now. Okay, breaking news. The lovely women at the top of the hill tell me that this is not the Turkish legend hill. No, 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 no. Köszönöm szépen. This hill is the Kőhegy, the stone hill. And I believe it is actually not this hill, but the Turkish legend hill that is the origin of the Turkish legend. And when I say Turkish legend, I mean a legend about a Turk. And it was just around that pre-Rákóczi period where the legend takes place. Oh, mamma mia. Mamma mia. What a view the Budaörsi have. All of Budapest unfolds over that way. Education begins with a question. It always does. It inherently must. For why are we educating, if not to answer? Or at least attempt to. Back to the Machka Kő. I'm not really sure what the story of the Turk flinging off the other hill is, but I'm gonna try to figure it out on my way over there without checking my phone. That's the mission. Okay, so above this beautiful chapel, 1817, 2002, we have this Calvaria hill right here. And these are Catholic sort of illustrated chronicles of the Jesus Christ saga. Beautiful artwork. MGZ. Wonder who is MGZ? Yes, certainly. So those incredibly helpful woman just pointed me in the direction of Turuk Ugrato. That is the hill from the Cimere, the Turkish legend hill. We just left the Calvaria Dome. Before that, it was the Kőhegy. Don't know what that is. There's a Vitorla or something of another over that way. You know, it's very relaxing to just ask people for directions and learn things about the city as you go, rather than using a phone. So far, the best Vigyász kutya sign I've ever seen. Wonderful cat number 1. Wonderful cat number 2. Very impressed. Gratulálok. Looks like a terrific porch. You know, they say on the Budaörs website that it is the most prosperous or entrepreneurial, some sort of economic jargon, city in Hungary. May very well be. A lot of nice spots around here. Yeah, and here we can see the Városháza, the Rathaus. Very modern. Wouldn't look out of place in a more Western European city, maybe more west-north. Really hybrid German Hungarian styles. You can see it in the influence everywhere. It's not a bad mix. German Hungarian, not a bad mix. When they combine very well. And now we come into Budaörsi Lagotelep for some more visceral communist era beauty. Beauty is a word. It doesn't really mean anything. You can just say communist era style, because style is beauty, and style is the answer to everything. A real hybrid blend. I mean, look at this tree. This is as gorgeous as anything you'd see on the Tot Shaitan. Tot Shaitan season. Oh, what a Budapesti original. Tot Shaitan Cseresznyefa Saison. We shall head up here on Leitű utca, up to the Turuk Ugrato we go.
Mész arra, és a 200 méterről meglátod a török ugratót az út túloldalán van.
Jó, köszi szépen.
Nagyon szívesen.
Jó, mert az a hallgattam, az a török ugrató a legenda.
Így, ahogy mondod, egy török állítólag, amikor üldözték, onnan leugrott lovastól, és azért lett török ugrató állítólag a legenda szerint. Belevetette magát a mélybe, nehogy elkapják. Azért lett török ugrató.
Az a török befelé.
A törököt üldözték, hogy ihaj, csuhaj, érte? Török meg azt mondja, ezt nektek magyarok, inkább leugrott a lóval. Állítólag ez a legenda.
És most ez a címere, nem? Az a Budaörs címere?
Benne van, igen, az is a Budaörs címerében.
It was during the times of the Turks. Egyszer volt, hol nem volt. Once upon a time. And there lived a young man who went by the name János. Everyone called him Jancsi. Jancsi, 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 Jancsi. Fekete Jancsi, Johnny Black. He drove his mother up a wall. Up a wall. You know, it was dangerous times around here. Of course, there were Hungarians in the society. Buda would have been ruled by the Pasha, and Budaörs would have probably been, as it is today, a nice place to live. Maybe some of his underlings, some of his veziers, and whatever other positions there were below the Pashas, the Janissaries and the like. They would have had nice little places around here in Budaörs. And one of them, one little Pashalik in particular, he opened up a protectorate of sorts in this town during the time that Jancsi was but a young lad. And Johnny Black, you know, he did not like this. No. He did not like this situation one bit. And one day, it was a day just like today. Gray, cloudy, overcast. Fekete Jancsi went for a little skedaddle up to the top of his most favorite hill. His footsteps followed softly. Of course, Jancsi wasn't really hunting for trouble. That wasn't something that he ever thought to do. But somehow, one way or another, when he was out, it usually found him. As he approached the midway point of the hill, Fekete Jancsi came to a stone wall. He continued to walk through the growth, which was just beginning to reckon with its spring shoots as they consumed the former stickly, hollow halls of winter. And Jancsi, he was feeling particularly devilish on the day in question. His mother always warned him, just leave the Turks alone. Leave the Turks alone. Leave the Turks alone. And as he approached the barren side of the hill, Jancsi spied the aforementioned Pashalik, who ruled over Budaörs, out for a pleasure ride and some falconing. Jancsi, Fekete Jancsi, Johnny Black, heard his mother's voice in his head. Jancsi, don't bother the Turks, Jancsi. Leave them alone, Jancsi. Leave them alone. But Jancsi did not listen to his mother's voice. He scampered up the side of the hill. Scampering. And as Jancsi approached the very top of the hedge tattoo, he did his best to still his pumping, thumping, dobaguku bumping heart. He decided to pick up a rock. You know, Jancsi, he had a strong arm from all of his summers, helping his bachi Jula do heavy labor. So Jancsi took the rock and he flung it as hard as he could. Straight and true as an arrow it flew. Hosu Turtanet Ruvid, the Turk, struck by the rock, turned around and reared his horse. Men, after that filthy, thieving, scoundrel! And his men chased Fekete Yanchi, and he ran for his life. And Fekete Yanchi was a quick little bugger, and soon the two Turks, they flew straight past him and off of the hill, smashing their skulls on the rock down below. And Yanchi was left alone with the Pashalik. And the Pashalik trembled and shuddered in the face of this young lad. Unbeknownst to Johnny, who now approached the Turk with the point of his sword, reinforcements were well on their way. Turkish janissaries came sweeping up the back and were about to capture the very same boy. But down below, a Hungarian hero was waiting to be made. His name was Hegyes Orru Hector, and he had one hell of a pointy nose. He was named Hector by his half-Greek father. And as Hegyes Orru Hector and his men gathered below in this very basin, wafting the fumes of the campfire in Bograch in their military camp, Hector, he smelled the trouble. As Johnny Black was now the one trembling, the Pashalik licking his lips as the janissaries approached the poor lad. But Hector and his men, they swept up the side of the hill on their swift steeds, and the Turks fled for their lives, being flung off the side of the hill and dying, with Yanchi now in a hell of a lot of trouble. Why was Johnny in so much trouble? Wasn't he a hero? This particular Pashalik was just one of many. They were littered around the hills of Buda in their little fiefdoms. So yeah, he had defeated this one Turk, but not only Yanchi, but all of the men would be strung up like chickens if they waited behind. And after one very loud and angry Michinas Basmeg Yanchika from a horribly annoyed Hegyes Orru Hector, they did what they had to do. They fled. They fled. And they smuggled themselves down the Duna into the direction of the southern Balkan lands, where Johnny would wander for many years amongst the mercenary troops down there. One in particular, the Black Dogs, the Fekete Kutyak, teaching him everything that he would learn about warfare and fighting. So when the time came, some 20 years later in 1686, to once and for all chase the Turks out of town, well, Fekete Yanchi and the Fekete Kutyak, they did their part. As for Hegyes Orru Hector, things did not end up so well for that guy. I mean, what else can you expect when you mess around with the wrong farmer's daughter on the left bank of the Tisa in Hod Mezuvashahe? You're not exactly asking for anything but an ass whooping and a lynching. And Hegyes Orru Hector, that's how he died. But, you know, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. One day you're a hero, the next day you're a villain. Turuk Ugratoi Harkerdu Usetetele Erdu Seli Tarshulash. A Turuk Ugrato Erdében egy hét különböző faálló mányal beültetett terület található. You know, say what you want about Budaörs. I am thoroughly enthused by the place. I like it a lot. It's an interesting mix. So why am I in Budaörs anyway? Well, I've been teaching all week at this Creascola. Creascola, it's a fitting name because the workshop that we did here at Creascola was a sustainability workshop with a class of half Hungarians and half Italians, specifically Italians from Bergamo. And the kids of the Creascola, which sounds Italian, Iskola, a very creative school filled with energy, filled with life, and being amongst the young Hungarians and the young Italians, and just young people in general in academic, educational environments fills me with so much hope and joy for the future. And just met a great guy from Cameroon on the way out of town, Kenneth the King. If you somehow stumble upon this video, Kenneth, You've got a hell of a handshake. Congratulations, my friend.